Good afternoon or good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Um, Let me make sure I got everything running okay with my. Thank you. I'm coming on this evening mostly because I just kept. We're going to talk about Sebastian a little bit. Just because something has been bothering me. About Sebastian. Well, everything about Sebastian bothers me. Um, I'm very familiar with autistic children and dealing with them, is what I'll say. Um, and from the beginning is where my problem lies. For a long time, I thought their house looked different from people talking about it than how now pictures have stirred about into what kind of neighborhood they actually live in. And it's a very close knit subdivision. Um, due from hearing all the information people are putting out there, Dolby Vision, JLR, um, there's a lot of talk in the YouTube community from the creators who do this, who do what we do, they go out in the field. We try to pump information to them. And they're very good at what they do. But though I kept hearing this and I kept getting a different visual of the house. And so everything I say is for fair use in reporting, whether it be for the news or just for relaying what I know. But it is for fair use. This little guy right here, I still haven't gotten confirmation from anyone. Saying he's autistic is not really enough. You have the low end autistic, a medium autistic, and a high functioning autistic. And I wish if somebody knew what level he was on, would put that information out because it really makes a difference. A high functioning autistic could function in this world without you even knowing they are autistic, except for very minute things that you would notice, but only if you are around them for a very long time. Um, they can pass, and little things would stick out, maybe. People that are considered, a lot of people who are considered OCD are highly functioning autistics. I'm saying some are, I'm not saying all. So I really wish someone could find out what his level of autistic is, and I can't seem to find the information out there, um, which is really bothersome because it really matters in knowing that, because it helps us with knowing his mentality and how he can function. Every time Chris, his biological dad, talks, says basically he could be a more high functioning individual than people think he is, because he's saying he wants him to find his way to him, and maybe he can. So that's a very important thing for us to find out, his level of functioning. And I hope that somebody does another interview with Chris that they could get that information from him. Was he a high functioning, maybe a lot more than people are putting him, instead of making him a down level? Because that could aid in him being able to take care of himself outside the home just a little. The first thing I want to cover is the statement they made of him taking out the trash. Here on this picture right here, I really needed, for me personally, to find out where these trash cans were, because the mom has repetitively said he went out the back door to take out the trash. Now, just obvious in this layout, now that I have the real house and how it's laid out, the trash cans are on the side of the house, and you can clearly see here there is a fence. A fence that's running along the side of the house, goes down a little, and you can see it again running past a good couple of feet behind that tree. And this is a closed in area of their backyard. Their entire backyard is covered by this fence. And you can see the homes right there behind them. So that is concerning, because he didn't go out the back door. And I'll show this other picture that gives more that this is their backyard. So the mom is saying he came out here down these steps, got the trash can, and went through the gate and took them out. I'm not thinking that's a plausible explanation. And in this one, you can see the fence even better going around. And I do not know when these pictures were taken, but these were the only two pictures I could find of the home from the side and the back view. I personally do not see why he would go out the back door to do the trash at all. I would see maybe he would go out the garage door to get the trash, or I'm not sure if this is a bad angle on this little white stripe, and is that a door, and maybe the angle that makes it look too skinny, by the uh, what is that, a concrete little thing right there on the ground. um, but there's the trash can. So he didn't go out the back to do the trash cans. He went out the side. That is picture perfect right here. And if he went out the back again, he would be surrounded by this fence, which over here there is no gate that he can open to go in and out. That is a secured against the fence. I'm just wanting to make sure that we know what we're looking at from the house. There's been tons of people, um, people on horses, um, people in the air. There's been tons and tons of people looking for Sebastian. They've done all the water they can. They've done all the land. There has been so much, and not even uh, uh, an inch of evidence for him. Um, the mom says what the mom is saying doesn't make sense to me at all. If you have any experience with autistic children or you have an autistic child, um, taking him to the bowling alley, taking him out to eat, taking him out to do grocery shopping and all that, just one of those things would have made an autistic child truly exhausted. So, doing all of those things back to back in that day, by the time he got home, he would have been totally exhausted, being overwhelmed by the noises, by the people, by the actions of doing everything. He would be totally exhausted. So, with that knowledge of knowing about autistic children, I really would not see him and cannot imagine him wanting to leave the house. Um, I would not see him. Maybe he would take the trash out, but then again, I think she'd have a hard time getting him to do that because he'd be so exhausted from the activities that he would want to lay down and go to sleep. Um, the back door doesn't look like an option at all to me. And this option here, seeing the garage, all I see with him being totally exhausted for the day is maybe, just maybe, if the car was in the garage, then maybe at some point she could get him back in the car, his mom, by saying, I don't know, they forgot something or if they're going back out, and he would go in the car, maybe lay down in the back seat because he's so tired, and no one would ever see him in the car. Or maybe allegedly, or whatever words you want to do. These are just my theories. I have no evidence like anybody else. No one has evidence that any of us even saw him in the car. I'd want to know why no footage from street cameras from the time they left the restaurant till the time of their street. Why is there no camera footage showing him in the car? I haven't seen any footage like that. When Maddie Soto, there's a picture of her in the car, according to the police, and that was made first, up front, saying we have images of her in the car with the living boyfriend or the living husband, whatever he is. But we have heard nothing about him being in the car, any picture of him being in the car with his mom during all these events. We know people saw him at the Roadhouse, the Texas Roadhouse. Do we have him pictures at BJ's? Do we have him pictured at the grocery store? Um, but what about the cameras that are on the main streets? Is he pictured in the car? We all have no evidence of that. They have not put that evidence out if it is. Because at least that would give us a place to go. He was seen on a camera here, but he's not on a camera here. Kind of like Riley. Well, that's what people went with. He passed the camera here. Uh oh. He's not on the camera here. So somewhere between here and here is our focal point. I have yet to see a camera showing Riley. I mean, showing Sebastian in the car. I mean, I just don't, from experience with autistic children, seeing him being so exhausted the day his mom took him to all these different places, that one event would make an autistic child exhausted. It's an over stimulation on their nerves, on their whole being of autistic and being around a lot of people. But going to more places, BJ's, grocery shopping, going bowling, all these things that has been said, all these alleged places that that he went. Did he go to the bowling alley? Nobody has showed that they went there. I hear people saying it. They proven that he went to the, I don't know whether it's a Texas Roadhouse or Outback or wherever they're saying he went. I know JLR got with them on some things, so they know that's true, but they don't know yet if it was just them two and he had Sam or a bunch of family with them. There's still some confusion about that. Um, but being, again, as seeing this with the side entrance of the trash cans, he would have come out on the side, not the back. Like the mother was saying, it's totally fenced in, unless all of a sudden the surroundings have changed and they pulled up the fence and there is no fence anymore, which I haven't heard that either. I mean, as a creator, there are a lot of things I haven't heard, and I'm not really doing anything on the Sebastian case because I feel like we have some really good creators that are just down in the ditches with it, and somebody else stepping in just makes more of a confusion for people to follow. And it's not that I haven't been following the case. I very much have been following the case, which is why the layout of the house and the trash cans and him going out and being autistic, I couldn't get past all of that and knowing what I know about autistics. Um, the neighbors left and right and across the street and left, so I'll say one, two, three, four, at least five neighbor houses would have been well aware of watching for Sebastian if he went out to take the trash out. These neighbors would have been well aware of watching him and seeing him when he goes out. Yet for none of them to say they saw him is a big red flag for me. I'm really it's really hard for me to feel like he's out in the world just roaming around and yet has not popped up anywhere for anyone to see. I do not believe this child, this young man, would get any far from his home without someone seeing him. Even if he was roaming around and he has no shoes on. Well, what we don't know about shoes is, did she buy him a pair of shoes when they were out? Grocery stores around where I live sell sweatpants, sweatshirts, shoes, different stuff like that. They have a little home section in there. Maybe the grocery store she went to had that. We don't know that she didn't buy him another pair of shoes, another pair of Crocs, because I think you can get Crocs anywhere. I mean, that's like the go-to shoe. Um, and maybe she bought him a pair, and he was so excited he put them on. Maybe she told him to put them on, and then took the shoes he had on that they left the house with back in the house. So yeah, of course you have all of his shoes, but that may not be the pair he has on his feet when he went missing. It could have been a new pair that no one knows about that you bought for him inside any one of those stores. Um, it would be good if we could see what clothing he had on while he was eating. Um, there are just so many things that go back to this house and just kind of, for me, don't go past the house. I just cannot, um, in the dark, especially an autistic child leaving in the dark. Um, uh-uh. This house is much bigger and a much bigger layout than I thought. Um, and I just got the, you know, footage, I guess, of, well, I hope this is the right footage of the house because this is the only thing I could find that someone was showing as his backyard and the side of the house. Um, there, they circled the lights because she said you couldn't see him if he was over there. Okay, but on the corner of the house here aren't those activated spotlights? I would think that they are. The husband and the wife um, really made no sense to me. I don't know what the sense of this was. Like I said, I didn't get involved with Sebastian because I'm working on some other cases, but it just really, mm, it's not making sense. There's so many people that have been searching for him. But knowing his functionality is going to be a good thing to look at, and then to, trying to work from there. And I don't know how far the biological dad, Chris, lives from him. And I don't usually speculate to who I think is the cause of this. But for me, everything starts back at the house. What I know about autistic children, and the fact that he would have been so wore out from all the activities she did with him that day that she created for him to go on, that he would have been totally exhausted. An autistic child after many events is not the same as a regular child after many events. All the stressors on him would have made him totally exhausted. I just don't see, in my opinion, an autistic child, whether he be fully functionable or in a lower or medium of the spectrum, I do not see him going out of the house at night. He would have been too exhausted. So, in my mind, the reason that they cannot find him is, to me, in my opinion, he never left the house. I don't know, and I can't even come up with a good theory to work on of why he left the house. Everybody's talking about the mom and the husband, wanting to get rid of him, or the wife, needing to get rid of him if she's going to be with this her husband, and he's not happy. Um, there are people like that, and I don't know if these people are like that, but I do see no emotion on their face. They do appear to know where he is because they're not worried about it. They go out to dinner, they go out and do this. They seem to know that he's just not going to come home. That is how it appears. And they're pretty confident in knowing that he's not going to pop up while they're gone to the Cracker Barrel, or, wherever they're going. They seem to be very confident um, in knowing he's not going to pop up on them. So I am really, I don't think a stranger came in their house. And I don't think he climbed out of a window either. I don't know if Chris came 3 hours away and came down. He's got a lot of vehicles. He's got a motorcycle. He's got a truck. He's got, and what if he came halfway? I mean, we don't know that she didn't meet him halfway at some point while they were out and about, and then came home. I mean, we don't know anything about that part. The police should give him a polygraph at least, just because they checked at his job, and yeah, he was here at work today. But what about that night? The people at his job wouldn't know where he was. There's nothing to say he didn't come down an hour and a half. She came up an hour and a half, and they met each other and split. Nobody knows that. I mean, that's a theory of mine. If they met each other, or if he came down, it's just a theory. Right now, everything is theory, everything is speculation by everybody. We can't even say for sure that he came home. And on the route that they came home, there's a lot of woods on the, I think it's on the right side of the woods. There's a big, they left from, is it the roadhouse they ate at?
I think so.
I get confused between Texas Roadhouse and Outback. Yeah, it's a Texas Roadhouse. Um, when you're coming from there, if you look on the map, um, JLR made a nice map of the route, and that's another reason I'm not going to impede on the great work that people have done. It's made it a clear visual for people like JLR. Um, we could come on the back door and do a whole new thing about it and why. He's done a great job showing the map. He's put in a lot of work on showing where the route was that they took. And when you go from the Texas Roadhouse down the map, he covered it. There is a lot of woods on that right side down on the way coming home. Um, how do we know that she didn't stop and I don't know. Maybe she got him out the car and said, "We're having an Easter egg hunt here," and took him off in the woods looking and just got in the car and left him. We don't know. People do that with their pet dogs. Just drop them off at the side of the road. See, because we have no people from the outside world telling us they saw him. You can't say the grandparents took him to Alaska because, well, the people at the airport would say they seen him. So it's really hard to say somebody took him somewhere where the public would have seen him because they would have already been talking about what they've seen. So that's not really an option. So that brings it all the way back to the mother. But we can't not count the stepfather. I have relatives who work in my adopted family who work on these construction sites like this, and they work for us till the project is done and then they go to another project. They're not full-time employees for these companies 24/7 forever and ever. They're only full-time for these companies while they work on these particular projects. And they work 12, 14-hour days and then 6 days a week, maybe seven, depends on their skill there. His skill, he was a crane operator. Um, I do know that his demeanor of being totally calm, I would expect that from a crane operator. They have a very stressful job, and their staying calm is a very valid thing. So I expect him to be very calm and collected because what that's what we expect him to do. But this little boy, I don't believe he went out of that house at night because of all the things they did that day. He would have been totally exhausted being an autistic child. He would have been totally exhausted. He would have been totally exhausted after the bowling alley part. Um, and let's not count him eating and doing all the things before and after that. He would have been exhausted and he would have gone to bed. He wouldn't have. It would have wiped him out uh, emotionally, or you know, it would have been a great time if somebody allegedly wanted to do something to him. He would have been not as alert as normal. And I'd like to know why mom didn't get up when she heard a noise and go look. Or did she know this noise was going to happen? This is a very, very bizarre case. I can say. It's like he went, the magic dragon. Um, it is my opinion, my statistic that he didn't leave this house. That whatever happened here happened inside this garage. All he had to do, if you think about it, all this mom had to do was, if he's just the car's in the garage, oh, we got to go somewhere, Sebastian. Sebastian's tired, gets in the back seat, lays down. Mom gets in the car, backs out, and and goes down the driveway, who's going to see that? Nobody. Nobody would have saw that entire interaction. Or if the dad had come down, look, it could all happen with him getting in the car or being put in the car inside the garage and no one would see it happen. And off down the driveway and off to wherever they went. So I think maybe the police might need to go through her car much, much more intense and go through this house, maybe his room much more intense or something. Because this little boy just did not all of a sudden, you know, Squirrel Girl says, do you think he would have left if something happened in the house and he got scared or something? Um, I would think it would have to be really big for him to get scared or something. It would, like, if you meant like the mom and dad fighting, if that's something, unfortunately, I would think he would try to get in the middle of it to make it stop, like most kids do. Um, but then if he got maybe hit or pushed down really hard, he would maybe have gotten scared, but then he would have gone to one of the neighbors. That is my thought. Um, but we don't know anything. That's the thing. We don't know for sure that he even came back and went into the house. That's why I would love to see some on the street camera footage, just like we did with Riley. We saw him at different places walking. So why don't we have video lights camera on their way home? If we could see that, then we could see the part where we see the kid in the car and now we don't see the kid in the car. So now it's somewhere up in here. We have no camera footage. And that's what needs to be out in public for us to see, because that would help narrow down. If you see me, man, the Texas Roadhouse and you see him walk outside, and then at the next camera that they pass, you don't see him, well, then there's a there's a problem right there. But if you see him in every camera on the way till he turns into his neighborhood, and then you're not going to probably be able to see him because there ain't main street cameras, um, then that's a problem. I want to really see the street cameras that the police apparently aren't showing us, but they they have to have those cameras. Um, Squirrel Girl said, "I don't know a scenario that he would leave unless he was scared, but then I think someone would have seen him. So it's the fact that no one has seen him that's odd." Um, well, I don't think he'd leave in the dark. I don't think to say he was scared. That means something in his house he would have to be more scared and more fearful of than going out into the dark. And to, that would be more than that. Because to an autistic child and children, the dark is a very, very scary place to be. Um, and they typically don't go into the dark. They typically, when they're in the dark, have someone with them. Maybe their parents, if they, walking in the dark somewhere when they're at somebody's house and they're going home now, they walk with someone to the car. Um, they just typically autistic children just aren't out in the dark somewhere by themselves. So I just don't see him running out that door, because what's outside that door and past the trash cans, because apparently he's not afraid to take out the trash. That that's what it said. We don't know if he's ever taken the trash out. We just know that's what the mom said. We have no proof that he's ever taken the trash out. So let's say he did. That just means there's enough light and something used to him, um, to do that. But why wouldn't he have kept going then? Why did he come back inside? I know for one thing he did not go out the back door. If that's their house that was sent to me and that is their backyard all covered in fence, he didn't go out the back like mom said. Did we get confirmation that the lights in the nighttime video was flashlights or was it a garbage truck? Um, the last I heard was a garbage truck, but I cannot for the life of me figure out that truck and the lights, and that's just really hard. I mean, if they put the garbage out by the street, okay. They're saying it's a garbage truck. So someone has found confirmation that that's a garbage truck. But being as he lives in a subdivision, I thought he lived in a house, that wasn't in a subdivision, and that was around a cul-de-sac. But seeing all the video that they're, that's a pretty not nice, tight knit, um, subdivision that they live in. Um, and those neighbors are pretty used to seeing Sebastian more than likely. Um, it would just be really, I just do not see him. And again, seeing those lights in the trash truck, you think he's walking straight away from the house, going straight down. But if you look at his house in the daytime, he wouldn't be going straight down because he would, you know, run into a house or something. I don't believe that that wasn't the garbage truck. I do believe it was the garbage truck. Um, and if you'd left at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, anybody knows about trash trucks, they're out at that time. Um, wouldn't they possibly see him? I don't see a reason why he would leave this home. Even if they were fighting, I think he'd be more afraid of the dark than he would them fighting. He might go hide in his room in a closet to get away from them fighting, hide under his bed, get in the closet. But I don't see him, going outside. And then the mom says that, someone asked her could he have opened his window and climbed out? And she said, no, there's big bushes right there. She's all but telling us in a roundabout way he did not leave the house. She's given every answer to he didn't leave the house. Could he have crawled out the window? Someone asked. No, there's big, bushes there and all this. Oh, okay, so now we like shut the window. Could he? You're saying he went out the back? Yeah. Okay. Now we go look out the back and there's a big fenced yard. And then you're like, well, there's a big fenced yard. Okay, no, he must have went out the front or the side. It's kind of like subliminally leading us where he went. You don't take the trash through the front door. So then let's go out the side. Right there where the trash cans are sitting right there on the side for us to see. It is my opinion. Just my own opinion, my own thoughts, is that he left from that house. But I don't think of his own accord. I think maybe through the garage, someone put him in a car or something like that, because no one would have known if they raised the garage, backed the car out, and drove off, that Sebastian would have been in the car. That's one surefire way that no one would have seen him or saw what happened to him. Plus, you got to remember, his DNA is going to be everywhere in the house. His DNA is going to be in her car. His DNA is going to be in his car. His DNA is going to be in the garage everywhere. That's part of the problem. That his DNA is everywhere, but it's not in a place it wouldn't be at all. So that makes it harder for us to pow. Oh, it shouldn't be there. That's the big red apple we're not able to find. Um, Scorgo says, I think this is aren't subdivisions usually nosy neighbors. No offense to people, but I'm just puzzled that there was and still no sight of him. It's just crazy. Um, I wouldn't call them nosy, but I do think that because the surrounding houses are familiar with Sebastian being there, that they would subconsciously keep an eye out for him, because they know that he's autistic. I know I would. If I lived across the street for him and I saw him coming out taking the trash, I would, just by nature, watch him and watch him walk back up just to keep an eye on him, because he's autistic. I mean, who knows? He might get hit by a car one day, streaming around the streets and just taking the trash out. People get hit by cars all the time. So I would keep an eye on him till he went back up the driveway. I don't know if that would be me being a nosy neighbor or just me watching out for him, but I think that they would just watch out for him. Um, and like I said, I'm not following this case on my channel. I think this is the first time I ever said anything about it. And the only reason I'm saying something about it is because I can't see him going out the back door at all now that I see it's fenced in. And I see the side door. But the mom clearly stated several times that he went out the back door. And I don't see that. I don't see how that's possible. I think we're going so far ahead now in this case, or people are going so far ahead in this case, that that's getting more out there. And this one might be the one that needs to go back to square one. The police need to go back to square one. Not saying they need to stop searching all the places they are, because I'm not saying that. But just the common sense of, you say he went out the back door to do the trash, but the trash cans sit on the side, and there's a fence there that has no latch to letting through it. Or if I'm wrong, then if I'm wrong and that's not the pictures, that were given to me are not correct, well, then I'm just going to say I apologize for that because these were the pictures given to me. That this was how the back of their house looked and where the trash cans sit. But even if so, let's just say those are wrong in how the house is laid out. The fact is, if Sebastian did all of those things, he would be totally exhausted. He would not be roaming around to go. He wouldn't have the energy. And that is true about an autistic child. Um, I firmly believe he would be exhausted by the end of that day and wanting to go to sleep and lay down. And I believe that whether it be the stepfather or the mother or both of them, they could have easily gotten him in a car, in the garage, and out away from the house without anyone seeing them or seeing what happened to Sebastian. So that's just my 2 cents about the Sebastian thing. I pray for those out there, everyone that's out there searching for him, and there are people out there searching for him. Um, a lot of people out there. I pray for you guys. I pray that you find Sebastian. I pray for those who cannot go out there and keeping him in your prayers. I pray for him daily. I look up new information daily, and if I find information that can help somebody out there, then I will pass it along. Um, I pray that we keep our eyes open and that we do the right thing at the right time to bring these children that are missing or taken or harmed in any way, that we get them back home. With that, good night, everybody, and keep your eyes open. If you see something, do something.